Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for GRE. We have been solving GRE math problems out of this book here, the official guide to the revised GRE, the second edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problems that we are about to solve are the ones that you will find on page number 149. Please turn to it. Page 149. The very first problem that we see there is number 12. These are the exact same problem that appeared on the exact same page number in the first edition of the book, first edition of the revised GRE, and I have already solved those problems from the first edition. I'm going to redo them right now, but at a faster pace. If you need to go into too much detail, if you need to understand something, if you have trouble understanding something because I went too fast, you can always go back and watch the original video where the same problem is done, as I said, in depth. So, number 12. Number 12 is actually very straightforward. We have a rectangular box . We have a rectangular box. It says in the rectangular solid, they're calling it solid, same thing. In the rectangular solid, rectangular box, same thing. We are told that TU is 3, U to V is 4, and V to R is 2. And the question simply is, what's the area of the shaded region? The area of the shaded region. So the first thing for us to do is to actually draw this picture so that we can actually see what sort of shaded region that they're talking about. So there we go. It's a little bit tricky one to draw, and if you don't believe me, try to draw this, reproduce this thing on your own on a piece of paper and you will see it. So first part is very straightforward. We're looking at a rectangle, and then things are going to get prickly. We're looking at a rectangle, and then we have a couple of isosceles triangles, one on the top and one on the side. Something like this. And something like this, I believe. That's close enough. I'm not going to mess with it. That's close enough. And then we have something to this effect. And the strip that they're talking about, the area that they're talking about, the shaded area, is this strip right here. It's a rectangle. Since it's a rectangle, in order to find the area of this shaded area, we just need to know the dimensions of the two sides. One side they already tell us. Here is R, S, T, U, and B, and they tell us that V to R is 2. V to R is 2. We just have to figure out T to V. They tell us T to U is 3. T to U is 3. They also tell us that U to V is 4. U to V is 4. So it's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Triangle VTU. VTU is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. A 3, 4, 5 triangle, meaning that 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared, and therefore this missing side is 5. And therefore the area of the shaded region is simply 2 times 5. 2 times 5. And that of course is 10. Very simple, very straightforward. These are the easy questions as they tell you themselves. As we get into the medium and the hard ones, they're going to get a little bit more prickly. But this was it. Let's go on to the next one. Number 13 is the next one. Question number 13 deals with the notion, what is known as normal distribution. And if you do not know what a normal distribution is, and if you need to understand the basics of it, what is a normal distribution, what does standard deviation mean, how the observations are distributed in terms of its detail, the picture that they give you, I'll give you the page number so you can actually look at it. It's something I should have looked ahead of time, but I did not. I did not have the forethought. So I have to look at it right now. Give me 1 second, I'll find it. Page 141 it tells me. Page 141. There you go. Page 141. Now what they are showing on page 141 is something that you have trouble with understanding, that is. I would like you to watch day 36. On day 36, this problem that we are doing here, these were done on day number 35. As I said, I have done these problems already. We're just redoing them at a faster pace, but they have already been done because they appeared in the first edition of the book. On day 36, we took our time and we went through the notion of normal distribution. And as I said, you can watch that video if you like. So here we are told that we have a normal distribution, and we are told that the mean is 8. Question is, well, let's see how the question phrase the question. Page 149. How do they phrase the question? It says a list of number has a mean of 8 and a standard deviation of 2.5. If x is a number in the list that is 2 standard deviation above the mean, what's the value of x? 2 standard deviation above the mean. So here's the first standard deviation, and we are told that the standard deviation for this guy, for this distribution, is 2.5. The standard deviation equals 2.5. So the first standard deviation, and the observation there is one standard deviation, exactly one standard deviation away from the mean, is going to be 8 plus 2.5, that's one standard deviation, that's 10.5. And the observation that is going to be 2 standard deviation away is going to be 8 plus 2 times 2.5, 2 standard deviation away, and that's just 8 plus 5, or 13. There you go. And by the time you get to 2 standard deviation, we are only left with 2% of the observation in the tail. 2% of the observations are in each tail. Each tail, right? Same thing here. There is 2% here and 2% here. In other words, what we're saying is that if you took an exam and your teacher tells you that the average on the exam was 8 points, and the teacher also tells you that the scores were normally distributed, it was a normal distribution with the standard deviation of 2.5, and as you open your report card and you find out that you had 13 points on that exam where the standard deviation was 2.5, listen carefully, if you had a score of 13, that tells you that you are in the 98th percentile. Only 2% of people managed to score higher than you did. Only 2%. On the other hand, if you had a score of 10.5, 10.5 only takes you up to 34%. This is 50% on the left hand side of the mean. So this is 34. 10.5 means 50 plus 34, or 84% of the people scored below you, and 16% of people managed to score above you, which makes sense because this is 14%. On the second tail we have 14%. And like I said, if you need to go into detail, you can watch day number 36 where we did the thorough job. Right now we're going to move on to the next problem. The next problem has to do with pie chart. number 14, which was also done on day number 35. Number 14 is a pie chart. We are given a distribution of 200,000 physicians. Distribution of 200,000 physicians by their specialty. The question is, which disciplines have more than 40,000 doctors? Which areas have more than 40,000 doctors? Well, since a pie chart, the very first thing we need to do is figure out what 40,000 represents as a percentage of the total amount, because that's how we show in the pie chart. In the pie chart is a circular graph where 360 degrees of the circle represents 100% of the distribution. So we have 40,000 doctors that we're looking for out of 200,000. If we divide top and bottom by 1,000, we can get rid of the zeros, 3 zeros. Divide again top and bottom by 10, we have 4 over 20, and 4 over 20 of course is same as 2 over 10, which is 20%. So we're looking for the areas that are more than 20% in the chart. So let's take a look. Here is our graph. Let me redraw it. Here is our circle, is what I meant to say. We are told that there is a 25% sector, a sector that contains 25%, which is internal medicine. So that's the first one, internal medicine. Then if you look at the chart again, we have 24% for surgery. So that's another one. And then the third one that is more than 20% is pediatrics, which is 21%. Pediatrics. And then we have miscellaneous, which is the remaining 30%. As we can see, 20 plus 20 is 40, 40 plus 20 is 60, and then there is another 10%, 5, 4, 70, so that's 30%. I call it miscellaneous because I didn't want to call it other, because they have a category by the which is labeled other, so we just call it miscellaneous, where I threw in everything else. So that's it, that's your answer. Internal medicine, surgery, and pediatrics. Make sure you mark all three of them, otherwise you will not get credit for this question. These are new types of questions which did not exist in the old GRE, in the revised GRE, the so-called revised GRE, the new GRE. You will find this type of questions where there are more than one right answers, and your job is to check mark every single one that applies. If there are 5 right answers and you only mark 4 of them, you're not going to get credit for 80% of the work. So here there are 3 of them. Again, one more time, the 3 areas are pediatrics, which is A, pediatrics, which is A, and then we have internal medicine, which is listed as B, and then finally we have surgery, which is listed as C. So the correct answers are A, B, and C. And that was the end of the easy questions. Tomorrow we'll start set number 2, which are medium ones. Of course, they're going to be a little bit more challenging. Wait until we get to the hard ones. They called the hard ones for a very good reason, and you'll see the reason when we get to them, but that'll be a couple of more days. But tomorrow we'll start the medium questions on set 2 on the next page. Alright? Bye now.